President, GDEC, Secretary General, Manfred, dear colleagues and friends, let me begin by wishing a heartfelt congratulations. It doesn't sound as good in English. In Bocca Lupo sounds so much more interesting, but well done to all the graduates today. This is a day to celebrate. It's a day of achievement, and that above all is why we're gathered here. As I congratulate you, I'd also like to congratulate your family, your families and your loved ones, all those supporters. You get support in so many different ways, but you know that you wouldn't be here today if it weren't for so many of the people who love you and surround you. And let me finally offer my congratulations and appreciation to all of those who make this amazing project of the European Masters Programme a reality. The academics here on the stage, but all the administrators as well, who carry out so many essential functions. So to all of you, a sincere congratulations on this great annual day. Now, while some of you were being examined yesterday, and while some of you were examining yesterday, I was at the Biennale. And I was very struck by the theme for this year's Biennale. You've all seen the posters or you've been there. The theme is, may you live in interesting times. And it struck me, what an appropriate tag to attach to a day like this, a day of graduation and conferring. Because whatever else you might describe these days, they are interesting times. The world today, the Europe I work on, but the world more generally, is full of a sense of the greatest potential and possibility matched by the greatest of risk and danger. And those of us who work in the field of human rights are living this on the coalface every single day. Just to give you a few examples of this possibility and danger in the European context. Take, for example, the digitalization of our lives. A fantastic innovation, fantastic possibilities to transform our lives, to make services more accessible, to make our state more fair and equitable in how it supports us. A digital world in which probably we'll eventually find a cure to every known disease through the analysis of big data. So fantastic possibility, but also with digitalization, the very greatest of risks, the loss of our privacy, the loss of so many other of our human rights if we don't proceed with great care. Another example of possibility and risk, our economy. Here in Europe, today, we live in the richest corner of the earth in any time in its history. Look at the potential for that, the potential to do away with hunger, to do away with homelessness, to create a fair set of societies. But side by side with this greatest moment of wealth in the history of the world, we also face some of the most disturbing and frankly growing levels of inequality. An inequality reaching such a tipping point that it threatens the very future and stability of our societies. And to take just one more third area of possibility and of risk, I have in mind our European institutions. The possibility, because here in Europe, carefully, slowly, since 1944, we have constructed the most astonishing architecture for the protection of democracy, for freedom, for rule of law, for justice, and for human rights. Nothing like it has ever been seen before in history. It is what was once described, perhaps, as modernity's greatest achievement. And yet, as we applaud the achievement, we see the cracks. We see, for example, how cheap, nasty populism can corrode all that has been achieved like a cancer and runs the risk of rotting it from within. Now, those of us, you, us, working in the field of human rights, this is the path, the world, the platform that we must navigate. This platform of possibility and risk at every corner, in every way. And I only have about 2 minutes left this afternoon. And how on earth do I say something meaningful to you on how we might together navigate that space? And again, fortunately, I was given a metaphor for how we could do it yesterday on my tour around the city. Before I actually got to the Biennale yesterday, I went to the church of San Giorgio Maggiore, where I saw an astonishing exhibition by an Irish artist, Sean Scuola, who has filled the church and monastery with his work. But the major piece is an enormous construction in the heart of the church. It's a 10-meter high, multicolored tower made of interlocking pieces, weaving its way up from the floor of the church right up into the cupola, into the dome. It's very beautiful. It works in the space, but it's not obvious what it is until you read the explanation. And what I read yesterday was that this construction, going from the floor to the dome of the church, represents Jacob's ladder. It represents the staircase, the pathway from ordinary human existence to the high divinity. It's the path along which you negotiate the movement from the one to the other. And I thought it's not a bad metaphor for the business of human rights. We've nothing to do with religion. It's not about faith. But it is also about negotiating a pathway from the ordinary day-to-day experience of our lives all the way to the great principles of dignity, of justice and freedom. Or to put it another way, it's the pathway from those great principles to the messy business of our lives, delivering those great promises and principles so that they're meaningful and they give us a rule book and a safety space where we can live those messy lives. And so, if you'll allow me to say so, I think the metaphor I want to offer you today is that all of us, you, us, who work in the business of human rights, we are guardians of the staircase. And as we are the guardians of that staircase, we have clear functions. The first function is we must protect our staircase, this staircase of human rights from the principles to life. Protect it because it's under threat from so many different directions. We must keep the staircase under repair because our staircase is not a perfect one. It's a cracked one. It has deformities. It needs to be constantly fixed, adjusted, and repaired to be meaningful for our lived experience. It's also a staircase that's not very strong. It needs stronger foundations. It needs better materials. It needs not just to be fixed, but it needs forever to be strengthened. And that's, again, an important part of our function. And most of all, most importantly of all, it's a staircase that must be accessible and that must be used. And we, the guardians of that staircase, have the job of making sure that everybody, regardless of race, sexual orientation, gender, nationality, whatever else it is, that everybody has the access and the possibility to climb that staircase. So that's what I want to leave with you today. And I just want to wish you all the very best as we all together go forward as the guardians of our staircase of human rights. And so that, to return to the theme of the Biennale, not that we may live in interesting times, not that we may live in the best of times either, because that's naive. It would be naive of me to suggest that we could reach the best of times anytime soon, but rather that together we go forth to live in times of hope. And it's with that I wish you all the best for your futures. Thank you.